What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Dome Zone podcast, brought to you by BPC. I'm going to be your host, Sam Daggers, and this is Ed Charlton and Mike Adams, the owners of the Baseball Performance Center here in Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey. And this is our first episode of the pod, and we look forward to bringing you guys a lot of good baseball insight, information, and going on, boys.
Long awaited.
Yo, I have actually been wanting to start this for so long. It's crazy. Even when I was back training here, like as a young buck, I was talking Ed's ear off about doing a podcast. I talked to all the dudes in here about doing it, and I don't know. This is actually crazy. I told Ed yesterday, I was like, welcome to the rest of your life. Starts tomorrow.
Yeah, the pod, we've been waiting to kind of do this. You know, been staring at this corner of the room for a while now.
Yeah.
We're here.
If you build it.
If you build it.
We're here.
So, I mean, I think the pilot episode, I think it's good to bring some light to like what BPC is, like what it represents, what it means to you guys, and what it provides for the community and the baseball community at large in general. But I don't know. You guys take me through the origin story, because I haven't heard the full story either. So this is going to be good for me too.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to the story, but
well, take us through. You guys are done college. You're getting out of college. You're trying to figure out what to do. I know Ed dabbled in some college coaching for a little while, and I'm not really sure what you were doing right after college. Mike, I know you guys did the indie ball, but
to kind of hear both sides of the story too.
Yeah.
Like from Mike's view, and I kind of have like probably a little bit different one too.
I know.
We definitely we were obviously playing indie ball together in Rockland for the Boulders, and it was just kind of idea. We mentioned like, hey, we should start a facility when we're done playing, which we didn't realize would be in like 3 weeks from then.
I think I quit a week after that.
Yeah. So that was kind of the plan. And then once it got to the off season, we were like, South Jersey has nothing as far as where you can go. Like, I guess over winter break, it was like the biggest issue I always had is I would go to try and throw and hit every day for that month, and you were paying like $40 every day to rent a cage, and I was like, if I could just rent this cage out, and pay for the month, like I would come here every day and be able to get work in. Like, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to prepare for a season, like just throwing in the cage by myself and paying $40 every day. So that was kind of like the start of it. Then we came home in the off season, and my dad was like, yo, I have this sick idea, like you should use our oil garage. And I went in there and looked at it, and I was like,
shout out Mike Adams Sr.
Yeah. I was like,
Big Mike.
Ken Adams Oil and Ken Adams Sr.
Yep.
But
Ducky.
But I was like, yeah, like thanks, but I don't think it's gonna work because it's kind of a shithole. I don't even envision baseball being done in here. But slowly we added a cage, we added one plyo wall. Like it had levels. It was built for like putting oil in the trucks through the top. So
I know the ramps, stages everywhere.
Stuff everywhere. So we started with that, and then obviously Ed's brother Nolan and his friends were in high school at that point. So like we had a good 10 guys to start. We got a couple kids from EHC
Grinders.
High School. Yeah,
Grinders.
And
Ryan Johnson comes to mind every time I think about that.
Big Cat.
Yeah.
Coach Roland.
Yeah. Rolling too. So yeah, obviously we had like a small group of guys to start, and we kind of took it and ran with it from there, and then slowly we just kind of continued to add to the building. So I mean, I think our first bit of success was when we had Dan Noonan. So like the first guy we had, one of our first original guys, was like a 6'7" swimmer, left-handed.
Troubled child.
He came in, and I remember telling his mom, I was like, hey, I think this guy could get drafted. And I don't even know if I really believed that at the time, or if I was just like selling the dream. But little did we, like, he ended up getting drafted. Yeah. So 2 years in, so, off the rib, one of our first original guys, like, goes into pro ball. So that obviously gave us a little bit of credibility. And then we just kind of kept building it from there. I mean, there's so many phases and stages at this point. Like, I don't even really know where to go, but we just continue to add to the building and like change the business model and start to specify in certain areas, and then just kind of kept growing it from there.
Yeah. What do you what was your experience like, Ed, when you guys?
I mean that was pretty spot on.
Yeah.
I remember him calling me, and being like, "Yo, my dad's got this garage. Said we could do whatever we want with it. Let's go check it out." And I'm like, "All right." And I go over, and I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck? What are we doing here? Like, this cannot be a baseball place."
Yeah.
So we ended up cleaning out the one bay, we took a 70-foot cage out of my backyard, scrunched it into a 25-foot space, took an L screen, a bucket of balls, and a tee, and we made a plyo wall. Like
we now have a bigger podcast room than the first original cage, which
like
is
you could only do tee work and flips. I remember like being in there like flipping balls forever, literally forever.
Back in the day, I was a
you hit in there.
recipient of those flipping balls, and we'll take this quick 2 seconds to kind of revere on the namesake of the podcast, the Dome Zone, because one of those old bays was what was referred to as the Dome Zone at the time. Ed, you want to shed some light on what that represents?
Yeah. So the Dome Zone, right? So we there was three garage bays. 2 of them ended up turning into batting cages, and then the one we cleared it out, and it it still had drywall up.
You need to clip a picture of it
Yeah,
right now.
Literally, the overlay will be there.
We actually had Big Cat and Frito in there. Big Cat, the foreman, cleaning that room up a little bit, just making it a little bit better. They hung a net, towards the back of the bay.
Just one net
and
a tee.
And, it was for the guys hitting that were a little bit more domed up.
Yeah.
We're working on things, and maybe hitting off the machine wasn't the best thing to do at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we just banished them to the Dome Zone, to go try to figure it out and work on their little tee.
And it's been like a mainstay ever since, like just as far as, I don't know, I always felt like whenever I had a bad round, even when I was still hitting in here before school, I was like, damn, domed up, Dome Zone every time. Like it doesn't.
It worked. It actually worked.
It actually did
People
work.
figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
Man.
It's.
When you lock yourself in a room for a while, you figure some shit out.
That's what I mean. There. I remember the days back then where I was trying to work on my swing, and I thought I was some good high school hitter, or even like in college, and there would be days where I was like, dude, I have to not hit a ball today to actually get better. Yeah. If I try to hit a ball today, it will be nothing.
Yeah. I think we got some pretty hysterical videos of you working on some stuff.
Oh yeah, and but the Dome Zone lives on. I'm happy we integrated into the new place. So what is it like? You guys are still young guys. Mike just turned 30, obviously. 28, wink.
Barely.
Like you guys are still young guys, but you already have a business that has been proven successful enough to move into a new, bigger facility where you guys, you have to, I mean, somebody who trained at the old place for a long time and saw like all the character it had, and how the environment was awesome, and we had nothing but good dudes. I mean, you guys are obviously good guys, so
Rocky's baseball gym.
It was like, yeah, it was, but you guys have to feel like you have sort of legitimized like what you offer and all of the business stuff. Not that it wasn't legit before, but you guys have this state-of-the-art outfitted facility now that nobody can take anything away from it, you know what I mean, now. And it just seems sort of like that it's entering this new era of not so much the gritty baseball facility that everybody goes to kind of, hang out and be a dude. It kind of sort of seems like this is the elite sort of Northeast facility that if you're serious about baseball or you're a pro that needs to figure some stuff out, like this is where you come.
Yeah, I think that was that was kind of our long-term plan. I don't even really think I knew what it would look like moving out and coming into a new facility. Like, obviously the goal at first was like, everyone always talked about like the hidden gems in South Jersey.
Yeah.
Like there would just be kids popping up out of nowhere, and that started with like Mike Trout.
Mm-hmm.
But from there, I guess the goal was just to kind of help expose the baseball in the area. Like obviously, as you can tell, like with a little bit of small training that we had at first, like I think we knew what we were doing, but not fully. But
there's always been athletes around.
Yeah. Like immediately,
athletes.
like kids just got so much better when they realized that you could just focus on baseball and like how to throw, how to swing, like strength training, all those kinds of things. Like that just kind of opened up like, all right, there's a ton of talent here. So I think like just obviously it started with growing the area. Now like South Jersey is pretty much a hotbed for baseball. Like guys get drafted every year. I mean we've had two plus guys drafted every year since we started, which is crazy. Like that goes to show you like what type of talent there is. And then just if you can cultivate and develop it, like a lot of good things can happen. But yeah, I think that was our goal from the beginning, is like trying to have the elite player and build a place for them to come and like not just get better, but also like want to add to the environment, add to the culture.
Place they want to be.
Pass down to the next guy. Yeah, like at the old facility, we got guys that matched our facility. More of grinders, more of like, hey, I'm not that good, but I want to be good. And like, there's a lot of stories. And now like with the new facility, it's like we're attracting more of like the upper echelon player and like, trying to basically help them, extend their career as long as possible.
Yeah, I know, one of the things we used to talk about when we were in the old building was, about if we could ever get to a nicer place, like what type of people we could attract. Like, you basically came to old BPC just purely because the baseball. Yeah. Like what the development that was happening, but you had to find that out. Like, you had to come and find that out. Like, you walk in.
You had to literally find your
right.
like.
You couldn't find it. There was no sign. It's not built for baseball. There's oil trucks all over the spot.
I'll throw a clip of this over too, but literally parents would walk in and be like, I drove past this place 5 times.
Yeah, like it was tucked away. And
we wanted that a little bit because we were like, if you don't belong here, like, just stay out.
Yeah, it added to it for sure. But, to go from that to a place where, like, you had to figure out if we actually were good at what we did, because you wouldn't walk in. You would walk in, you'd second guess, like, damn, is this really what I'm paying for?
Yeah.
Because by all means, it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Especially compared to where we're at now.
Well, the building now sells the product almost.
Right. So now you walk in and you're like, all right, I know this is going to be good. Before you didn't know until you knew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I said, I always sort of like factored in the old place's character literally into how the environment was, and everybody was so cool. Everybody was sort of like going through it together. Not that it was like, like Hell Week or anything like that, but it was just sort of like, I don't know, it just was an environment driven place. And
you feel like you're there to get better,
to grind.
Like, you're not there because you want to necessarily be at that place at that time.
Yeah, it was.
You knew you were going to work. It was going to be hot as hell. It was going to be cold as shit.
Yeah.
Seeing your breath. Really fun.
Inside, yeah.
I think, too, one thing I wanted to mention, too, like, I think just some early on advice that we didn't even realize was a good idea at the time, but I think they were, like, early on, there were 3 things that we ended up doing well. One was we let every new guy come for free on the first day. So basically, if you were a new guy and you wanted to come in, like, we said, hey, we do the first initial drop in for free. And I don't know, initially, I think the return on that
had to be 100%.
100%. Like, everybody did that. So that, like, helped us get so many guys.
I think we had to do that because of what the building was.
Yeah, like
if we wouldn't do that here necessarily, because you come in, you're like, all right, this is good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before it was like, we got to show them that what is on the inside is good.
You got to see what we're really offering. Yeah. The second thing I think is, like, different from all other facilities and like travel organizations, is like we built it around like the player getting better individually first. So like every other team you play on, like, you go play for the team and then you train with the coach. Like here or at BPC, it's like we have guys that are on every team. Obviously we have teams now, but people felt like they could come to us to solely, get themselves or help their son get better. And there was like no, there was nothing changing that. Like, they were there to just individually get better.
There was no bias for us.
And we didn't have teams at first, and obviously, we have them now. But so I think people still, like, they say, hey, Baseball Performance Center, like, I'm going to go there, get better, like, and they have teams. Instead of like, they have teams, but I can train there also, so I think that. And then obviously the culture was the biggest thing, like the environment. I mean, a lot can happen when you put guys that are just as good, if not a little bit better, that all want to like play college baseball or play high school or play pro ball. Like that obviously is the most important thing. Yeah. But those 3 things, I think, were like, we didn't realize it at the time that we were even like, that those would be like the 3 best things that we did. But those 3 things like basically set up how we did it all.
I think a part of that culture was, kind of how we were with the kids, as far as like, if you were good, you came in and we didn't tell you were good. Like, kids have everybody and their mother telling them they're good now.
Yeah. We were just like 2 angry, like, got released indie ballers who like we're right now we're still better than all of you, like, and we were just in college, and it's like, you think you're gonna go to college and be what you think you are. Like, you're not. We are what you think you are, and we're not that good.
Yeah, like, you haven't done anything yet, and we did this and tried really hard to get places. Yeah. Like, it's not easy, and you think you're good right now, and you're not.
I'm sort of in that stage right now where I'm hearing, like, all the guys we coach, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to go to X, Y, and Z and play, and I'm going to go do this and play, like there's no way I'm not gonna, or they're so sure that whatever the plan is, and obviously, I mean, you guys know my story and all that. Like my plan, the day I graduated high school, from what it ended up being, was completely different, and I'm sure it's the same.
Shit
for
hits
you.
the fan at some point.
I'm sure it's the same for you guys. So you guys like dealing with all that stuff, and then you're like, okay, I obviously can still swing it, I can still throw, and then I got all these high school kids thinking they're hot shit coming in here trying to show their stuff off, and you guys are honest with them, which is not something they're accustomed to. Which is,
I think it was big too for us, like, because then that was 2017, so we're even younger than we were now.
Yeah.
We were still doing everything. Like I was hitting with the guys, Mike's throwing with the guys. So like, not only are we like, you help build a little bit of more credibility that way. Sometimes you don't have to do that, but like it's definitely a way to get through to guys that like you don't know, they don't know what the hell you're saying, but you're showing them that you can do some shit. Yeah. And I think that matters. Like, all right, like I'm gonna listen to this guy a little bit.
I always thought that whenever you would, like, especially the early days where you would hit with me or whatever, just because we've always, like, we have a similar build, similar player, like just outfield, whatever. And I was like, wow, this guy hits the ball way harder than I do, and I got to figure out why. You know what I mean? And like Buddy Kennedy going off for the Phillies, or not going. Buddy Kennedy playing for the Phillies right now.
Hey man, he's there.
He's there, but I'm saying I played against him in high school, and like that was, I think so. That was my freshman year, and he was older. He might have been a junior or senior, but I hadn't started training at BPC yet, and I was just like it just felt like I was like, what the hell does this guy do? It was like we play the same game on the field, but off the field, it's like we're in different worlds. I was like, what does this guy do to where he throws $1 million on the mound, hits a home run every single time, and is going committed to UNC at the time, and all this stuff. And I was just like, I'm trying to.
What am I missing here?
I'm trying to go hit with at batting zone with my dad every chance I can. You know what I mean?
There's your problem.
Shout out Bobby Woods.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it just didn't fit. But here it's like I see every day. I'm sure kids see like, okay, this is what Evan Taylor does every day, or this is what I'm sure kids were like, this is what Chase Petty did every day when he was training in here and doing all this different stuff, like working hard and seeing how their body moves and just like their different work ethic when it comes to how they throw, how they approach throwing. And not that all of that translates to success, but like Andrew Gaines is a guy for us recently who has gone to Pitt and has worked really hard. If I'm a pitcher who's trying to get somewhere and like I'll follow a guy like that, is there like anything that you guys have taken from watching kids like build themselves up from each other that has really like shown why the business has been successful?
Countless.
Yeah, I think that's honestly like one of the coolest parts about this place. I actually said it to a dad the other day. Like, where else in, say South Jersey, but where else in like the country maybe can you go, baseball wise, to a facility, walk in the morning in the off season and see 35 pro guys working out?
Yeah,
you can literally get a peek behind the curtain. Like,
and that's what it felt like for me. I was like,
as a player,
while you're getting your calf rubbed out by Book.
Yeah. Like all I ever cared about as a player when I was in high school and college was, what are the pro guys doing in the off season? Because that's where I wanted to get, right. So that's the goal for playing this game, right? Yeah. That's why we play, to get to play on TV and make some money. But like to me, it felt like I was wasting my time if I didn't know what they were doing and working on, because if I'm not doing what they're doing, what the hell am I doing? So like now you can literally come here and just watch and see, and you can talk to them, and all the guys are great. They don't care. Yeah. They're awesome dudes.
I remember Ben Rudo was like my mentor, I remember at first, because he was like one of the first pro guys who really started coming in to hit, and I think I was committed to Wagner at the time, and we just got to talking. He was Fly Hawks, and he was cool. And
Ben Ruda, shout out Tiza.
Yeah, and but I always was like, damn, the fact that I'm like, this guy's going off in the minors for the Yankees at the time, and I was like, this guy is like allowing me to see what he's doing, and it was like awesome. I remember I didn't mention it at the time, but in my mind I was like, dude, this is like unreal. Like, I would talk to my friends about it and just think it was the coolest thing ever, the fact that this dude's in here hitting and I get to hit with him. And I don't know, I just feel like that builds a lot of confidence too in guys.
Well,
and
you see every year now, like I try to pick out, two,
guys,
3 college guys a year that like I'd let come hit with the pro group sometimes, because one, I think there's some potential there for them to get there, this offseason, one of the guys was Caden Doolin.
Yeah.
And Tony Santamaria.
Yeah.
Right. Tony ended up getting picked out of Rutgers by Tampa Bay, and Caden's now at Pitt. But like, I think those two guys, like, they're on the path to get there if they have success. Right. They're good enough. Tony obviously got picked.
Yeah.
But like, for them to be around those guys, I think helps, because you get to see, like, all right, like, I'm pretty close to these guys. These guys are good. I stack up pretty good next to them now. Like, what do you got to do on the field to get to where they are?
Exactly.
I think too what you mentioned about like we've pretty much had every story that you could have had in baseball at this point. I mean, Gaines is a great example. Like, a guy who went to Iona his first year, like, struggled. Like, don't look at his numbers; they were bad. Second year, like, did a little bit better, still not good. But like, he continued to grind. Like, he like worked on a plan for like a year straight, like one of the most diligent guys we have. And now, like, we're like, he could be a draft pick this year from 2 bad years at a small D1. Like, just there's a million stories, like, to a regular first round pick of a 6-foot kid throwing 101. Like, basically any scenario that you could have, we've had. And I think it's cool for guys to see, like they come in here, and the high school guys from 2 to 7, like, they are doing exactly what the pro guys are doing, like the same exact thing.
Yeah, the regiment's the same.
The regimen is the same. It's just like how you execute it, like how diligent you are about it, how serious you take it, and like, stacking days, making it count. Like, but like, basically the programming, like how you work on things, is the same. Like, it is the exact same. Like, how we look at the throw on a pro arm and the swing is the same thing on a high school guy. Like, they're literally working on the same thing in the same place. So it's like, you feel like you could have, like, you kind of control your own destiny there if you just put in the work. And that thing about baseball is, like, hard work doesn't always correlate. Like, it correlates to you, like, getting every ounce out of yourself. But like, just because you work hard doesn't mean you're going to be good. Like, it doesn't mean at all. And that's in anything. Like, we've worked hard on I've worked hard on a ton of things. That doesn't mean, like, you're gonna be good at everything. Like, it just like instills that you're not gonna leave any stone unturned, whatever it may be. But
be able to lay your head down at night now and you try.
But like, hard work is like some people go to the show and they don't work hard. They don't work hard. They don't have good mechanics. They don't have a good swing. Some of them throw 100 and they wake up and they're just better than you. And that's when it's like, you realize, like, all right, what I need to really focus my time on the right things. That's what I think we hammer home, is like, you see so much just nonsense in the world about, like, what guys should do, what they shouldn't do. And it's like, if you can shift through that and, like,
all the crazy drills and shit.
Yeah. And just, like, I mean, obviously everyone these days is like, goes on Instagram and, like, he's like, yo, I saw this drill, and it's like, all right, cool. That doesn't even correlate to you at all. So just being able to, like, see that progression from when they're young to, like, watching those guys do the same thing can give you a pretty good, like, backbone of, like, all right, I'm in the right spot now. I just got to keep doing it, basically.
I think like, to, like, build on that too, one of the, like, coolest parts about being here is, like, seeing a young kid come in, like, a really young, like, right now, best young kid you think about that walks in is Ian Ferguson, right? He's 12 years old. His little brother's 8 or 9, and, like, you just see it and you're like, man, if we can continue this kid on this path, this could be special. And, like, it's not, he's just the first example I thought of because he's the youngest guy that comes in right now with that older group. But, like, you see certain guys when they walk in, like certain kids when they're really young, and you're like, you can almost pick it out. Like, this kid's going to be special if he just does what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I think same thing with, like, Evan and Logic. Like, you could tell when they first came in, like, that they're like, if these guys stick around, they're going to be damn.
Yeah, like, there's talent here.
Yeah.
If they work on the right things, they're going to be good.
And I've always thought that was something too, like, going back sort of to where you guys, like, you don't really bullshit the guys, where it's like, we have had plenty, and pro guys too, like, plenty of those guys who have come in that are just like, roll up to the mound, throw their 90 whatever, you know what I mean? And there's other guys who scratch and claw every day to try to clip 88, you know 100%. What I mean?
Yep.
But to those guys, you guys are like, all right, you want to hit 90 and do all this stuff, here's X, Y, and Z, what you got to do. And it's like, but you also give back to the dudes that might hit 105 on the hit tracks or throw 95 on the mound, and you're like, yeah, you throw X, Y, Z on the mound, but how come you're not doing this better? And you still have that insight to where it's like, just because this guy is baseline good,
just because you're hitting metrics doesn't mean you're good still.
But from you guys also, I think it'd be easy to be like, maybe not show this guy as much attention. He's kind of got it all figured out, or show him attention for the wrong reasons and be like, yeah, man, you're the best. keep throwing hard, keep doing this. But I've seen on plenty of occasions you guys both like give it to guys who need to be given to a little bit, because those are the guys, like we were saying earlier, that might have the talent, but to a pitcher that just rolls up and throws mid-90s, they probably feel like they don't have to work on anything at all. And that's one thing I've always thought was really like progressive about this place, because it allows those guys to kind of get served a little bit, and they get better from that too.
I think that was one of the biggest things, the biggest eye-opening things for me, like going to pro ball, was just like the amount of talent out there. And like I kind of really thought I was going to show up there and be like, who's this guy throwing this hard? And like there was 10 other guys like that, like 10 other guys. And then it's like, all right, like how many times a week can you do that? Like, can you throw your breaking ball in the zone? Like there's so many other things that I focus on now with guys that are like, that they're gonna need, like I don't even need to get into it on a too detailed thing, but just like there's more than just throwing the ball hard. And obviously
throwing hard get your foot
like
in the
you
door.
need to throw hard, like that that's a fact. You need to throw strikes, that's a fact. But like there's so many ways that if you struggle with that, then you can do that, other than just saying, all right, we need you to throw more strikes. Like there's ways to do it, there's specific ways to target, there's pitches you should throw, like there's like how are people going to react to certain pitches. And I think those are the things that like was eye-opening for me, as far as like just being able to be around, like, all right, like there's so many ways you can still get better. And that's like what the best do, is like you see, like, I mean, I'm just going to use Bauer for example, but like every year he has a new pitch. He wins a Cy Young, a new pitch. Like that's just how it goes. Like you need something else, like you need to continue to evolve. And that's, you know, and that was that was the most eye-opening thing of all time. Like I definitely changed how I view pitching after playing and being around people like that.
I think too, when you get there, like you throw hard, but like the hitters are also really good now too.
Like
it's like you go to big league spring training, or you know you're in camp and you're throwing against those guys. So like these dudes can hit 98. Like they see it every day now.
Yeah,
you know, it's nothing anymore.
That is not even fast.
Like, so you have
95 is like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah,
like, it's not.
We'll be able to work. Like, we'll be able to work today.
Like, I remember Bodie was saying like he thinks guys are going to throw 105. Like that's actually happening. Like, guys are
happening now.
Guys are actually throwing 105.
I mean, watch Ben Joyce the other night had. Yeah, it was insane.
If he threw one at 101, and like look back like, fuck.
Yeah, like people are like, you know, you still have some people in baseball like, oh, you know, we should tailor it to more. All right, let's spin the ball a little bit more. Let's locate. Let's throw some strikes. You know, be a little bit more deceptive. But like if you're a hitter, like it is so much harder to hit shit that's hard. Like you would take 10 times out of 10 this guy that's going to fill it up, move the ball around, you know, at 92 than the guy that's throwing 102 every time.
No, I know. And then watching guys like what you're saying, like Paul Skeens, who's going unreal in the MLB right now, and he's still velo checking himself after the 6th or 7th inning at 100, and he's already got 10 Ks, whatever, 1 run or whatever through 7. And he's checking back to check his velo, and he has a little smirk on his face. He's like, yeah, I'm still throwing 102. I'm in the spot I need to be. And that's like, I mean, obviously a guy like that, there are, what you're saying, there's so many facets to the game. He has them all, which is why he's so good on the highest level. But like, just kind of picking out what the most important things as far as training and what you guys preach. Like, I know
I got something good for this too.
This place is,
back to like what we were talking about, like the beginning of BPC, like I think what most people don't understand, and maybe we need to do a better job of like explaining it openly, is like when you come here, like we're trying to play like the long game, really. So like everything that you're doing, like right now, we don't give a shit at all. Like where you're at, where you start, what you do. Like we're trying to play for 5, like when we get guys that are 7th grade, like you're playing 6 years down the road. Like we're trying to use those 6 years to help you get as good as you can. So when you're trying to show yourself to colleges, pro teams, make your high school team, whatever it is, like you are prepared. So like every team plays games. Like everybody plays games all over the place. Like you can only get so good playing games. Like at some point you need to like go back to the basics, like work on your mechanics of the throw or the swing, like understand the game a little bit better, like get bigger, get stronger. And I think that's what people miss. It's like when we get guys at a young age, like what you do now doesn't matter. What position you play doesn't matter. Like anything you do, you just need to continue to build skills and get better. And if you can do that over years at a time, you're going to be pretty damn good. Like I don't know if we've had a guy that's been here for 4 years that hasn't played college baseball. Like, have we had one? And I don't know if we haven't had one that hasn't played Division I baseball. Like, every guy I can think of that's like 7th grade that finished through for 6 years played Division I baseball or college baseball. And obviously now the recruiting's different, but like there's so many like examples, and if people can just commit to like actually doing what helps them get better, which is the training and putting like all their eggs in that basket, they're going to be so much better. And that's why when people are like, my son, he's this and he's that, and I'm like, yeah, he has 3 years until we really even care. Like, he just needs to get better. Like he just needs to keep getting better. And that's why we do the teams like we do. It's like we don't bunt. Like if you're in 7th grade and you're the 9-hole hitter, and every time an important scenario comes up, you have to bunt. Like you're taking 100 at bats away from yourself over the long term. It's like we'd rather not do that. Maybe we lose a couple games here and there to have a better player in the end. Like that's kind of our goal there. Same thing with like calling pitches. Like we want the catcher to call it. We want them to know. Like we want with a man on third, 1 out in a full count, not to groove a fastball down the middle and let them hit a line drive to score a run. Like you're better off throwing a breaking ball, playing for the strikeout, and putting the guy on first, like stuff like that. Like in the right situation, like we're trying to teach them that and have them learn that, so down the road they're actually good at the sport instead of like kind of hiding them in the younger years. If that makes sense.
That's something that's like such a polar shift, and there's still obviously people on the other end of the spectrum as far as like winning games when it comes to travel ball. But I've always really commended you guys at a young age. Like, we got a big tournament coming up this weekend for the Jupiter qualifier that we obviously want to win. But you guys are always like, dude, like, we didn't win the game, or you might not have done something that helped us win the game, but you showed progression in this X, Y, and Z, and that's what we care about, and that's what we hold value in. I mean, that's so, like, don't beat yourself up about this.
Like, we have a couple guys, if they have a problem filling it up, but they're on the team, they're getting rolled out
pitching
there to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to go out there and walk the first 3 and we're like, all right, hey bud, you're done, thanks for coming. Like, no, get your ass out there, figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like what needs to happen.
And hopefully down the years, it's like enough time of doing that, like he's now going to be good. Like he's getting the reps that he needs to do that. And that's
right. Every time he struggles, he gets taken out. How's he figure it out?
Yeah, how's he figure it out? Yep, same thing. Like, and that's like what people don't get. Like over years, like that adds up a ton. Like I mean, I just think about like my 12U baseball team. Like the best guys, like half of the best players didn't even play high school baseball, or especially college. Like I mean, obviously the percentage is small, but like everybody at that age was good. Like and what you do from there matters. Like you get to the big field, all of a sudden like the strength matters, like everything changes, like arm strength matters, and like those things you can train, you can teach, like you can develop them. Like if you just continue to do that, you're gonna have skills that are gonna make you like schools are gonna want that.
I remember playing travel ball and it being like life or death sometimes, like winning this game, and it's TSC game on Atlantic Christian Field on a Wednesday night. You know what I mean? Like,
and you were around this summer with me with that 2025 team that I coach right now. Like, you see how I coach. Like, and it's about as laid back as it's gonna get. Now let's get it straight. When you fuck something up, I'm gonna let you know, but I'm not. We don't blow up. It's always like as we're coming off the field, grab somebody, pull them aside, like, hey, bud, here's the situation. Here's where you went wrong. Next time, this is what you should do. And let's learn from it. Hey, let's go get the next one. The game is hard enough, and to put more stress on a kid by like embarrassing him or yelling at him is like, it's ridiculous because it doesn't help.
Yeah, and another thing I'll add, like about coaching the guys here and then being on the team with the 25 team. I know it's different for some of our teams, but if I would go mess something up, let's say 3 times a week for my coach. When I was 12 years old, the only thing he's seen me do this week is mess up 3 times, and he's like, this guy's shit, he's gonna bat 9th and whatever, you know what I mean? You guys coach these guys all week, you guys got really good relationships with them, and like what the deal is in the game, out of the game, and you're like, man, like Monday through Friday we were doing this, and this, and you were doing really well with that. Your first 2 at bats or your first inning, maybe you weren't. Let's go back out there, and you can literally see them make mid-game adjustments and things like that.
So literally, right, you hit the nail on the head there, and I think that's one of the really cool things. Like I haven't even thought about it till now, but like just coaching the guys specifically on that team, because that's where I'm at right now. To see like them maybe not produce the result that was good for the game in a game, but then after the at-bat, I'm a hitter specifically, after the at-bat, they come up to me and like, how'd that look? Like, they want to know if they're getting better. Even though they didn't get the result, I think that's pretty cool because so much in baseball, it's everybody cares about the result. And it's like, you see guys all the time, they go over 4, but they piss on 4 balls. Mm-hmm. And then they're pissed off after the game. Or they go 3 for 4 with 3 doinkers, and they're pumped, got my average up. It's like, which one was better?
Exactly.
Right? So, like, you don't, just because you don't get the result on paper doesn't mean, like, that it was a bad at-bat. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been something that's pretty cool is a lot of the guys, that because we work on things all week, and then we go play, they want to know that what they're working on is actually, like, did I do it in the game?
Yeah.
Or not?
Because
they want to know.
And that's the same thing, like the process over the results, and that's basically what the long-term like idea is. It's like this whole thing is a process, and the result is like at the end of it. It's not always right now, and you might hit some some guidelines along the way or some milestones that you want. But I mean, that's the whole point is like actually figuring out every time we're like, hey, how'd you do this weekend? Good. Like, what is good?
Yeah.
Like, did you throw 5 innings, no runs with a 40% strike rate? Or did you give up 3 runs, but you threw 75% strikes with 10 strikeouts, but you gave up some damage too? Like what is really good, and like helping them understand like actually what that looks like makes it a lot easier for them to see which way they're going. And that's on all sides of the ball. But I mean, I think that's like, and you'll hear people talk about it, and like I think that's where they're starting to go away from like stats like average and ERA, because it's like
a lot of luck in there.
There's better ways to basically
kind of dissect what's important.
There's better ways to figure out how good you actually are, how much value you're holding. And like that's something we talk about all the time, and predicting players' success.
The perfect example, even in pro ball right now, in Major League Baseball, is Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
A guy, when you look at the other end of the spectrum, he's a guy that historically he's having a fantastic season.
Yeah.
Best of his career.
Oh, yeah.
By far. But, like, he's a guy historically hits, like, hovers around the 200 mark, hits some homers, walks a ton, gets on base.
Yep.
But his average is low, so people are like, he's not valuable.
Yeah.
But you see it. But now in baseball, you see a guy like Luis Arias, leading the league in average every year, million hits, doesn't strike out ever.
Yeah. 2 since the All-Star break.
2 since the All-Star break. And Kyle Schwarber's got a higher OPS than him.
Yeah.
It's like, who's more valuable?
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. And it's always been like a thing for me where I sort of prided myself personally as a player, where I was like, all right, I know I'm going to go into a season and hit 300 and feel good about myself because of that. But it's like, how do I bring different parts of like myself to the game? It's like, can I always throw better? Can I run a little better? And I was always like decently all right at everything, but it shows that like the players who want to get good can't always just worry about, hey, did I go 2 for 4 today? And am I allowed to feel good about my day because I went 2 for 4?
Yeah. I think sometimes too, like, when you think like that, like when you care about the result so much, especially as a hitter, because you're playing, every day almost. It's the pitching's like once a week, maybe twice, 3 times if you're a reliever. But like sometimes you got to hit and still grind through it and still figure it out. And if you can, get to a point where, all right, you're trusting like all the stuff you do during the week in your training, and then also on the weekend, like you just go play and worry about winning.
Oh yeah.
Like I think like maybe that for us at the travel ball level, like that's not our goal. Like our goal isn't necessarily to go win every game. Now like this tournament this weekend, we're gonna try to win.
Yeah.
We'll go out there and try to win.
Yeah.
But most everything else, we're going out there and like the stuff we work on, we want to see them get better at it. We're gonna help them get better at the game. If we win, great. Sure, do we want to win? Hell yeah, every game. But like we're not throwing away at bats and taking guys out of games to try to win.
Yeah, we're hoping that like over the years, just how we've put the individual development first creates a better player. And the better players you have, the better the team is. That's like kind of the idea. And we've ended up winning without like you won't see situational bunts with somebody that's like
hitting
there.
runs.
Yeah, you won't see any of that. You won't see like a pitcher struggle like after 2 batters and us bring in this other guy.
And that stuff's got its place in the game of when you're trying to win.
Yeah.
But when the goal is player first, development first, then it can't be.
No.
Yeah.
You can't really do both. You got to be one way or the other. And I think for travel ball, it should be development player first. because the winning doesn't matter for us.
Yeah.
Like, do we give a shit how many trophies we collect?
We'd rather have a team full of guys like playing in college than we
Yeah.
would.
Like, I don't care if
a room full of trophies, and that's really the.
But
difference.
by that, because of that, the teams get good. The teams win.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
And
It's like a pro team would build like, hey, we want to have all the minor league teams be really good. Like, we don't want to sacrifice trying to win over making them win because we want the big league. We want them to be able to come up. We don't want to have good minor league teams. We want them to be able to make an impact in the big league. And that's like same kind of idea. And now some teams do that great. Some teams do that horribly. So it's like you kind of figure out which way you want to go with it.
But like, and then go back to the point. Once you are at a point where, like, all right, so say you're starting your high school season, your college season, or your pro season, like, the mindset, I think, needs to be every day, all right, what can I do to help the team win? Because now you take a lot of pressure off of yourself as a player, like the individual, right? Like, you're gonna go through slumps, you're gonna mess some shit up. How can you just put it aside and not let it compound? Is like, all right, like, maybe you just had 10 bad at bats in a row. You're 0 for 10 with 7 punch outs.
Yeah.
You feel like shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, going up there and thinking about, all right, I need to get a hit here, probably ain't going to help you.
No.
But maybe going up there and saying, all right, what's the situation here? How can I do something here to affect the game, right, and help the team win? Maybe it's just moving a runner over, and you start to build momentum.
Yeah.
And momentum is huge in the game. It's huge in life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you can start to, like, kind of put at when winning matters, you know, you put the team first and all you care about is winning. And you hear it all the time. The best athletes, when they're done, when they retire, or some guys now when they still play, winning is the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
Right? And you hear him say it over and over. You look at Tom Brady.
Yeah.
All the guy talks about is winning.
Yeah.
All he's ever given a shit about is winning.
Yeah.
You know, like Jalen Hurts, you know, little Jalen. Like, keeping the main thing. Like,
yeah.
If winning's the only stat he cares about.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's like, he's going to always be all right. And I think for baseball, if you can start to do that, you can not let yourself get into these ruts so much, and like where you can become mental soup and, you know, get in a dark place. It's like, you take the pressure off of yourself and you put it on the team. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, like, all right, I did something today that I helped the team win.
Yeah.
You know, and then you just build momentum. Then you start doing good, and then you're good again. And, you know, but you're going to come back down. And how do you get out of it?
And another thing, well, I was going to add 2 more things, sort of play specific as far as BPC goes. And one, we can jump back to after I make this point. But 2, I was going to say, you come back in, we were talking about the camaraderie, and there 5 names come to mind. But maybe you are a kid that's struggling. Maybe you are a kid that maybe always doesn't have the same amount of success as some other guys on the team. And everybody kind of knows where they stand on the teams in here, especially, and they're all really cool. But you are the guy that maybe is struggling. You get a hit, and you come back in here the next day, and they go X, Y, and Z walked it off for the team, and you're in here training, talking about it, and you build confidence. Yeah, exactly. And you move on, and you get that confidence to go towards the next weekend or whatever, and it just is another thing that makes this place unique. But keeping in that same train of thought, something else is like the progress that players make. And I know we're not talking about result, like we don't want to focus on in-game results, but like, again, you guys see a guy strike out 7 times in a weekend, terrible weekend, obviously. And then you work with him throughout the week, and then maybe the next weekend he starts first 2 at-bats, 2 Ks again. And a coach that isn't in the position that you guys are in are like, God, this is 2 weeks in a row. I can't suffer watching this again. Sits the kid, does something else, and you're like, yo, you remember on Tuesday when we worked on this and you were really backspinning the ball wherever? This guy is throwing curveballs. He's throwing it on the outside. You backspin the ball the other way when you do this well. Let's try to do this. And it just a different approach to getting kids out of things. I know that was sort of a layman example, but you know, just things like that kind of separate what the experience is like as a travel ball player. Honestly, really getting sort of a pro college sort of experience when they're 15 years old and they don't even realize it yet.
I think too, like obviously it creates a little bit of buy-in from us. Like now that we have them on our team, like normally any coach is like, hey, I got my roster, like I'm just gonna play them how it is. If they do good, great. If they don't, like, so obviously
see you next week.
we you know, want them to succeed because we're trying to help them to like we're with them on that level as
we're
well.
putting in
Like,
time
hey,
with
like
them.
we're
Yeah.
like their success is like we determine that sometimes, and we determine their failures too. So it's like there's a little bit more of a buy-in where it's like on all ends baseball. It's like we're there to help them mentally, to help them mechanically, to help them in the box, whatever it is. And like your normal coach is just coaching them on the weekends, you know,
It's like, yeah, this is on you.
We're the pilot and the mechanic at the same time, and it's like we're trying to figure it out to, you know, help them get there. So it's like it builds a relationship. Like we're bought in on what they need to do also. So it just creates a little bit of a.
I think they really realize how like invested we are in them too, because we do spend a lot of time with them here, and it's not just us too. There's other guys that work here that they all coach teams too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like everybody's very invested in the
Very
players.
invested.
Yeah, like on
And,
a
like-
Sunday, it's like, yo, how'd this guy do this weekend? Like I'm like, damn, we're like, fuck yeah, you know. It's like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
fired up. And that's like, I mean that's why we do it like that, is because like we're trying to help continue to set them up, and that's what I feel like people miss, and they don't like really understand the true like what the goals are. And I feel like once and it's hard to grasp when you're involved. Like I remember going to Cooperstown at 12 years old, like basically thought that was the World Series. Like,
Yeah.
I don't ever.
It was cool.
I don't even remember. Like I remember going, but like I don't remember a single tournament that I ever played in or won or did
Oh,
well
yeah,
in from
no,
when I
no,
was
no.
young. You know,
No,
it's
me
like
neither.
none of that matters. It's all like a stepping stone to get you to where you're trying to go to.
Yeah. I think that's like a different experience when Jimmy's baseball experience for the summer isn't just on like, hey Jimmy, how many times did you hit off the tee in the backyard? Where it's like there's multiple people who are balled in on is he gonna have a great experience this summer, get better, do all this stuff. And for me that was something that I got instantly attached, and I'm sure I'm one of the however many guys we've had to come through here where it's like they come in and they're like, oh shit, like this baseball is something I really care about, and this is like a different level of care that I've been looking for and want to get out of it.
Yeah, you have a whole team around you now. It's not like you guessing for answers. Like you basically show up every day, and it's like if you need someone on the strength side and the physical therapy side, the hitting side, the pitching side, like whatever it is, the gear side, like there's a team around you that can help you, and it's not just you guessing. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, is just take all the guessing out. Like, oh, you know, I did this, but we're like, yeah, you did this, but this is what really happened.
You
Or it's
wasted
like,
your time.
yeah, like this is what's really going on. This is what can make you better, and you know, we take all the wasting time out of it. Like, let's get to work, and let's put it in play and build a plan and just execute it. And that it's as simple as that. Like if you do that, you're gonna get better.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Piggybacking off of like talking about like your experience, that I think that's like the biggest part about this place, and I think like, you know, like that couples with the environment talk. It's like BPC to a player should be an experience, right? It shouldn't just be this place you come to train, then you go home. Like, you know, sometimes is it annoying sometimes when we have guys hang out for too long and it gets a little crowded?
Oh yeah.
Sure. But it's also really cool that guys don't want to leave.
Oh yeah.
And guys love being here. They like getting here early and bullshitting,
Yeah.
coming up into the conference room, bullshitting.
hanging
It's
out.
like
Yeah.
it's like having like a bunch of little brothers all the time.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, all right, can you guys stop it? But
Yeah.
like you're also
Yeah.
gonna be like, yeah,
Beat it.
that was sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
like I think that to me has been something that's always been cool. Even in the old building, you know, like we've had parents that told us like their kid was getting ready to quit baseball. You know, they didn't like it anymore. They weren't having fun, and then they started training, and then it's like, I can't get him to want to leave. Like he never wanted to go to practice before, and now he asks me every day and doesn't want to leave. Like, I don't know what you guys are doing if you're just
Yeah.
giving him candy every day, but he loves it, and,
Yeah.
and thank you. And it's like, to me, that's like the coolest part, because now like we're not just catering to this guy all the time, right? Because obviously those are the guys we want to cater to, and you know, you want to help elongate their career as long as possible. But like to hear those stories too, it's like, I think that's like making a difference on a different level.
oh dude.
Where like
Yeah.
it's really cool to see kids like just enjoy the game again. And like, you know, we've gone through it for years, and you know, we're starting to do like some youth training now, again, like things that we think are important. But like, you know, we've had parents like 5-year-olds like, hey, can you do a lesson? My 5-year-old's like, dude, no.
Yeah.
Like, save your money. It's gonna get a little bit more important at some point. take your kid in the backyard, play wiffle ball, like have some fun right now.
Yeah.
Like let it be a game still.
Pick
let
up
it be
a rock
fun.
and chuck it to the moon.
Yeah,
literally.
go play stickball on the beach or go do something fun with them where you can still enjoy it, he can still enjoy it, you guys can enjoy it together, because it's gonna get to a point like that's almost what the business is built off of. Is their dad's walking in here saying, Johnny won't listen to me anymore.
Yeah.
It's like that's what it is, because every dad works with their kid until they can't.
Yeah.
And our kids will tell us that, I'm sure.
Exactly.
It's like I'm not listening to him. It's like okay, well that's why you're here.
Okay. Yeah.
So shut up and listen. Like let's get to work.
That was definitely one thing too growing up that I didn't really know anyone that played college baseball or that was a little bit older than me that played baseball. Like I didn't know anybody. Like I didn't know anyone. Like not one single person that was even like not like it. Like my dad was like a mentor. He played football and just chucked the balls at me.
Yeah.
He didn't know.
I got to watch my dad play in the over 40 league.
Yeah, and it's like having that, and that doesn't even necessarily need to be us. It could be anyone that works here, but it could also be like, oh, you're a freshman and you work out with a senior who's committed. And it's like, yo, if I watch that guy or that guy's driving me to BPC every day, like we're doing the same thing. Like
it's impossible to not get better.
Yeah,
that's how it started for me. Dylan Skranda drove me here my first day. Drove me into the old rig. That's that's how it was for me. And I think sort of talking about again the environment thing and getting other people besides just the players to buy in. Like the players buying in and having the environment. I think that's also why, with the exception of a few, and it might honestly just be due to them not knowing enough about it, but like you guys have all the local high school coaches in the area totally bought in, because I mean that's something that's always been a point of contention, and we still see it.
Yeah, that took a lot of work.
It took work.
We still see it to this day though, where it's like coaches don't want other coaches stepping on their toes, sort of deal. But I feel like all the high school coaches see is, okay, I had maybe 3 or 4 guys that were fringe. Baseball's sort of fun, but I'm still gonna just, you know what I mean. And now they go back to their teams and they're like, okay, we have 7, 8, 9, 10 guys who really give a crap about baseball and want to get better and want to play for the team, and they're like, it all circles around them being in this community.
And all the coaches we're ultimately trying to make their job easier too.
Yeah, exactly.
We're trying
and I think they realize that.
Yeah, at first it wasn't.
No, yeah.
And I think too, like I heard this analogy years ago that I just think is a good one, but it's like I mentioned it earlier about like the pilot and the mechanic. Like in your career, like you're going to come across a bunch of coaches. Like a lot of people are going to be pilots and less people are going to be mechanics. But understanding like who is who, like, if the plane breaks down, like the pilot's not going to fix the engine. So it's like that's kind of where we would come in at that point.
Yeah.
Like, but flying the plane, like organizing the team schedule, who's pitching when, like that's more of a pilot idea. So it's like you gotta understand what coach is what, and use that to your advantage. And that's where like that scenario comes in. Like as a high school coach, you can't work with your players year round. We can.
Right. It's literally a law in New Jersey.
If we can work together as a team,
law.
like we can essentially fly this plane a little smoother. It's like it's as simple as that. And ultimately like the whole area. Like I know now we like talk to coaches a lot of times about how to use guys with pitch counts and like, hey, he threw then, what do you think here? And stuff along those lines. It's like we're just trying to make everything a little bit better. And we don't like we're the unbiased opinion. Like we don't care what school wins or loses. Like it's going to be better. It's going to be better for that coach to like have a good relationship with that player, like and build the program up than it is to like have someone get hurt or like that then looks bad. So it's like just putting the keeping the big picture in mind and trying to help them make decisions and make it easier. Because obviously they're going to want their pitcher to be healthy for the whole year. So it's like, hey, if we can only have him throw 3 innings today in the beginning, you can get him for 7 down the end, or you can have him for 7 today and then no more games after this. It's like just trying to, manage those situations.
The communication with all those guys is key, though. Like,
obviously,
like we first came around. We were ruffling feathers, doing things differently.
Oh, the new different guys.
Well, you guys were also 20-somethings who were
the high school coaches for a little bit were like, I don't know. We butted heads with a couple of guys, which ended up being dumb. But like
it was fun though.
I think everybody now, plus like now we've been here for a while now. Like we built relationships. Some of these guys are my best friends.
Yeah,
and like they understand now that we're all pulling on the same rope here. Mm-hmm. Like we just want the kid to get better. That helps your program. Like you can't work with them year round. We can.
Yeah.
Like, so now they're thrilled that they're, okay, this kid's going to practice baseball way more and be a better product for me on the field. no brainer. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, but I think before, you know, we also had to build a reputation of like, hey, we're doing the right
We're not
thing.
trying to,
You know, we're doing good things for these guys. We're not out here screwing them up. You know, and I think, you even come into that sometimes because not every kid is a success story, right? Like you're gonna have kids that like, you know, you work with, you know, hitting, and they go to a game and their first 10 at bats of the season, they might look awful. And then a coach is like, dude, I don't know what you're doing over there.
Yeah.
Or it could be throwing, and the kid's, you know, throwing harder, but he's spraying it. Well, it's not working over there.
It's throwing it over the plate.
Yeah, it's like, well, now, like, if we just communicate with the coaches and cut out the middleman, the player, it's like coach reaches out to us, like, hey, what do you got on this guy? Like, what's he, like, here's what I'm seeing. What are you working on with him?
Yeah.
Because we might want to adjust it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, this is actually what we're trying to get him to do. Maybe we're trying to get the kid to throw more strikes. Or
we have the same frustration you do.
Yeah, it's like,
here's
we
how
watched
we're
the
trying
same
to fix
game.
it. Yeah.
You know, we just are trying. We're the only ones trying to fix it. You know, it's like, who else is going to try to fix it if it's not us? They can't do it.
Yeah, no,
Not that they can't. It's just they're playing a game and going home to their families.
Well, firsthand, my high school coach until it was DeChico, my senior year, was this awesome dude, and he was a teacher at the school, and he wasn't necessarily like a baseball guy, but he was very much like loved sports, loved being around, loved the camaraderie of it, and was a good like leader. Awesome dude, great guy. But he wasn't like a baseball dude, sort of getting, I'd never heard that pilot and mechanic thing before, but it makes so much sense where it's like that guy was pilot through and through, but the mechanical side like would not have tried his best, and it's like, you know, but that's like a different thing that
the glove arm master now.
Yeah.
He's trying to go towards mechanic.
Yeah.
I think that dynamic though has been like in our area locally with the high school coaches has been really cool because most of them have punted the mechanics and everything to us. They don't even try to do it anymore. They're just like, hey, like these guys do this all the time. They work with good players. They see results. Go there, do that. When you get here, they're gonna coach the team.
Yeah.
And steer the program. The program. You know, but like I think that's been something that's pretty cool is they literally have just like kind of punted all the like mechanical adjustments, you know.
I think too, we've definitely got better like over the years about like understanding the main goal is not to like say, hey, we know everything. It's to just build players that perform. And it's like at first it was like anything they say, don't do it. You know, it's they don't know what they're talking about. And it's like we all want the same things. It's just we might get there a different way. But at some point, it's like if somebody tells you to swing down and you do it and you get a hit, like you might not even be swinging down. It might have just helped you necessarily for that scenario.
Yeah, that
or it's
feel
like,
or whatever.
And it's the same thing with like, hey, you know, let's try to let's just throw strikes. Like
let's take some off here.
Yeah, let's take some off. Like obviously, like we all like we're trying to build them to like perform better now. And it's like, hey, like you like normally back then I'd be like, hey, you throw 80. Like, what do you need to throw a curveball for? But it's like, even if you throw 80, you still need to throw a curveball.
You're still gonna have to play the game.
You're still gonna have to throw a curveball. Yeah. So it's like. Those things I think we've evolved with is like, hey, like we want you to command the ball. Like if you can't command it at this velocity, like you're not going to take some off, but you're going to work on doing that. So like every bullpen you throw, you're going to throw hard, and we're going to command it, and we're going to figure out where your misses are, so we can get you over the dish more. And stuff like that. I feel like we've gotten better, and like we're not as naive to like that swing was sick or that throw was great though, but it hit the guy in the head. It's not what we want.
Yeah. Like there's plenty of guys that come in and swing it, which like. Are the swings picture perfect? No.
Yeah.
No, but they're moving the right direction, and I think this is what you touched on earlier. Like we're playing the long game here.
Yeah.
It's not always an overnight adjustment. So like, you know, you
like
see
guys get to the big leagues with bad throws and swings. So it's like we can continue to work on this without having to like and still take some success, even if it might not be the best looking.
That was let's think back to when we started BPC, like the hitting side of it. You know. We wouldn't let guys hit on the tee until they could do a dry swing good.
Yeah.
You were part of that era.
Yeah, I was part of that era.
J-Pos part of that era. Like you literally weren't allowed to hit on the tee until you could do a perfect dry swing. And then you couldn't graduate from the tee to flips until
standing in front of the mirror, dude.
Do it perfect on the tee. And it's like it built really, really pretty swings, but like didn't always produce the best result at times. So like, you know, you learn and you evolve. Like to us, like the swing was so everything at the time, and it was like kind of like how like Twitter was like and stuff like you're trying to put out the best looking swing instead of like just the best dude. And I think now like, all right, we're trying to take that long game a little bit more instead of just only focusing on the swing all the time. It's like, yeah, you come in here and hit, you're hitting, we're taking video and we're looking at the swing and breaking it down and trying to still make the adjustments, but like we're also hitting like good velocity on a machine every day. So like it's constantly being put to the test, and like you don't ever leave feeling like, damn, I can't hit right now, because you're still hitting off of some shit.
And you also don't necessarily, because you're not just, I mean, there are days
like
when
you would get domed about hitting overhand BP, like when you go to college.
Yes.
It's like,
we're
bypassing that problem.
It's like, dude, if you can't like just step in the box and start swinging, like we got a problem. Like you shouldn't need to have this whole like drawn out routine of like, I got to do all this stuff to just be ready to hit. It's you know, I think that's a mentality thing too. Like, you know, that we talk about in here. Like I try to do it, you know, and like live it a little bit as far as like jumping in the cage and hitting.
Down,
It's like, yo, just throw the gloves on, grab a bat, and like
that's always been something I struggle with so hard.
Like let's be able to do this, you know, because you're gonna get into college and you're gonna have a show and go day.
Oh man!
And if you know, you might not hit BP in an early game, or you traveled early, like late the night before, like. So you just gotta pack it in because you couldn't do your early work. Like,
I can't lie.
Get the fuck out of here.
That's something that I always wish I really had built and tried to really work on, and I'm trying to work on it with my golf game now and build it now. Just not hitting the range beforehand. But
probably not a good idea.
It's
just
a little different.
Just stop doing it. It's not that hard.
That's
still
always
gonna slice it in the woods.
That's something that I've always really thought was important for guys to be able to have that adjustability, because I always felt if I didn't get my exact pre-at-bat routine in, I was like, I might as well just walk back to the dugout.
Yeah, like, I mean, you see on the weekends with the travel teams sometimes, it's like, do we have to hit before every game? Like, we just took, you guys were in the facility all week. You took
a million
thousands of swings. Like, so because we don't take another 15 flips before this game, you're not gonna be able to perform. Like, get out of here. Like, so like I think removing that mindset like helps create like a resilient performer. Like you don't need to be, it doesn't need to be perfect for you to be able to play well.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, that's something I never there would be days where I'd be like, dude, I crushed today, I couldn't miss, but I never didn't feel tested. Like I never didn't feel like I was like, damn, today was kind of like a laxed, like whatever, I kind of just bullshitted through the day. I always sort of was like, shit, like I either felt tested because I sucked ass, or like I felt tested because I was like, damn, I actually did it pretty well today on something that
is challenging,
can kick my ass on, like will probably kick my ass tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's always something that I've really that's something I really enjoyed about this place. But again, like what you're saying, the adjustability and things, like being able to show and go and put on your best performance even when the situations aren't the greatest, like that's something that is really valuable to a player.
Game,
it's true. But kind of honestly on the yin to the yang of that sort of thing, how much has being in this new place where you have our PT Ryan Bucaferni, and we have like our own little gym now down there with Donnie, and like having our own space to be like, yeah, you need to be able to perform when things aren't exactly how they are, but also you have no excuse because we have every fucking asset that you can possibly have in here. How much is that like sort of adjusted not only how you train with guys, because I mean in the old place you're like if a guy shows up to the old place and he's like, hey Mike, my arm's banged up, and it's like, okay, what the hell did you show up for?
Why did you show up to throw them?
Yeah, exactly. But now you can be like, all right, go do your PT right next door or whatever, see how it feels, do what you need to do. Like how is that adjusted?
That dynamic has been awesome. One, I feel like we can nip things in the bud a lot earlier. Book obviously does a really good job with communicating with us, and we're like, hey, like what are we seeing? What are you seeing? And then we can make decisions. Like if you go to your normal doctor, they don't know anything. So like, hey, just take 6 weeks off. Like for him, it's like, he's like, yeah, your arm's inflamed. Like give it 3 days, let it die down. And guys come back and they're like, yeah, I feel good now. And it's like, so we bypass a lot of those problems. Obviously on like the routine side, like when he does the evaluation, he gives you what you need to do. And then those things you can build your routine around it. Obviously you need to have a routine, but there's a fine line you draw where like, especially depending on if you're, position player, starting pitcher, reliever, like there's things that you're going to have to be prepared to do.
Yeah.
So like kind of getting the best bang for your buck is what your body needs versus what you saw somebody else do that you try to implement. Like we can pretty much say, hey, you need to do these 5 things, do bands, do these 3 plyo drills, and you do those every day before the game.
Yeah.
And like, you know, whatever swing focuses you have. But so it kind of like builds this like, all right, I know if I do this, I'll be prepared. And then, you know, that makes it a lot easier for you to perform.
Yeah.
But there's definitely some guys that have 2-hour warm-ups that were like, dude, what? Like, how are you possibly going to play? Like,
Exactly.
you're a reliever.
Yeah.
They're going to say get hot, and you're going to have to throw 3 and go out there. Like, if you can't do that, you're going to suck.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference too between like having a routine and having like a superstition.
Yeah. Yep.
Like you can have a routine that like you want to check some boxes, but like you can bang a routine. A superstition is like, if I don't do this, I'm not going to be good.
And it's like,
that line was so blurred for me. Like
you do a routine that has like 3 things to stretch your pec. Like one of them works. Let's get rid of the other 2 and like let's get you onto something else.
Sort of finding like what that baseline is. Like I can ball out if I check, even if it's not my ideal warm up. I was watching something last night where a guy was like, people think just because they can't get in their perfect 90-minute workout every day, it's like they just bang it. And it's sort of like waking up and finding like, what is your ceiling, but what is your floor? It's like maybe you don't get in that 90-minute workout, but can you bang out 100 push-ups real fast before you get into work or whatever it is, and drink the right shit? You know what I mean? Like, can you do what's the baseline going to be so you check that box? And that's something that I like another example of how this place just keeps getting better, and something that I wish I had worked on a little bit more.
We'll get Book on the pod here at one point to go off about like everything too.
Yeah, definitely.
People will like that.
But I mean, boys, we're wrapping it up. We're coming up on a little over an hour. If there's anything you guys wanted to add in.
No, I added my two pieces.
Your 2 pieces?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was fun.
Yeah, that was great. This is a great time.
Let's get clipping.
We'll get clipping. I look forward to seeing you guys soon, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby.